Mexico's Supreme Court voted yesterday to allow a group of 4 activists the right to grow and smoke marijuana legally. This is called an amparo, which is a legal recourse that exempts some of a specific law. And this is very, very important because it opens the door for legal precedent to set in for the legalization of marijuana in a country like Mexico that is immersed in a war against drugs, that the cartels has control, that the corruption is ingrained in the government, and this might bring some light and finally open the debate for people to look into legalization as a way to cut, some of the revenue that the cartels are making and the corruption that goes along.
Well, not only that, but this law, it's a baby step, but it promotes the idea that it's taking the power out of the hands of the cartels, those doing illegal activity, by legalizing something that should have been legal years ago. Exactly. It's only illegal because of the corruption and the politics and the system of criminalizing it. Correct. So, cases like this, they're to be celebrated. It's a shame that the U.S. can't catch up faster. We saw Bernie Sanders, we covered it on The Lip this morning, that he's pushing for that federal ban to be lifted from marijuana. But right now in the U.S., it's a state's issue. And let's just hope that we catch up.
Yes, in Mexico, in this case, a judge, Arturo Saldívar, decided that there's some aspects of the health law that are unconstitutional and hence allowed this permission to these 4 individuals that you would think that they're hard-die stoner activists, but they're not. They're far from it. They're far from your concept of a stoner. I'm talking about a group of 4 activists: Francisco Torres Landa, a corporate lawyer; Lisa Sanchez, an activist; Pablo Girault and Armando Santa Cruz, both businessmen and lawyer. And the group is headed by Lisa Sanchez. Lisa Sanchez is an activist that unfortunately lost her son to violence in Mexico during the drug wars. And since she's been an activist, a social voice that has been pushing for criminal reform and to bring security back to the country. And now she found that through the idea of marijuana legalization, she can bring attention to one of the most important issues that Mexico is facing, that is security, how people are dying in this war against drugs. So her story, her personal loss, has fueled this movement to bring legalization. In this case, they're not opening a club selling weed and smoking it. They're really trying to bring the debate forward and say, we need to look into legalization as a serious solution to the problem of drug trafficking that we have.
That's right. And, it's a shame that this woman, her son, had to be murdered for her to champion this cause. But at the same time, it's activists that are bringing this to the forefront. She's a beautiful example of that. I want to point out, just taking this back to the U.S., so making this a state's issue, we saw what happened in Ohio where they struck down that, ballot initiative. It was to reform their laws there. What do you think it's going to take, Jose, for us to get this here in a federal sweeping way, since the overwhelming majority of the population, you said half, want the legalization of pot here?
I think it's a process, and I think the marijuana reform is maturing here in the United States. At the state level is generating a lot of acceptance, specifically because they're looking at the tax revenue that they're generating in recreational marijuana. And eventually, I think that what we'll see first is not necessarily legalization of marijuana, but at least removal of marijuana from the list of controlled substances. I think that's the first victory that the marijuana movement has to look at here in the United States. But it's good to see that these 2 countries that fight the war against drugs so closely are doing and taking steps. The United States at the state level, Mexico at the federal level, opening legal precedent for marijuana legalization in Mexico. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, and if you haven't, please subscribe to the Lip TV 2.